So,
If you enjoyed this video,
listening
click
in
on the like button and subscribe for more content similar to this.
that I recorded on a Sunday. This Sunday's readings that I went to for church, very apropos relative to the faith-centered life planning blueprint. So the readings of today came from the Gospel of John. It was chapter 14, verses 1 and 6. I'm going to focus in on those two verses from that chapter. The first one says, "Let not your heart be troubled." Well, why would your heart be troubled? Well, for the apostles, it may have been that they knew that Christ was going to be going away, or they knew that they were going to be alone for a while, or he was going somewhere that they couldn't follow right away. So they were going to have to live their life without necessarily him right there in front of them. So how are they going to align their activities, and how are they going to align their life to what they've been learning from Jesus up to this point in time? And he knew they were going to run into troubles, just like we do, and especially in this day and age where there's evil all over the place. So Christ had to tell them, let not your heart be troubled. So be at peace with yourself. So how do you achieve that? So then I'm going to go to the 6th verse, where Christ says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He doesn't say I am an optional way, I am an optional truth, and I'm an optional life. He says I am it's singular, the way, the truth, the life. Now, how do I make sure that I've got my life set up and I'm planning accordingly and I'm executing that plan? Well, what I've got for you here with the faith-centered life planning blueprint is I give you a methodology for doing that. I give you a framework for taking things like reading from John chapter 14 and applying that to your life. You now have a place where you can start to hang the inspirations that you get from reading that particular chapter from John's Gospel. So what that does for you is it helps you to get everything aligned and then to be at peace with what you're actually doing. So if you like this video and you want to see more of them, like this video, subscribe to my Tom Talks page on YouTube, and or just watch my videos on a regular basis and set yourself up for a complimentary interview with me. We'll sit down and we'll talk about it, and I can help set you up so that you can actually start to get your thoughts together and put a no-kidding plan together where you're not just putting events on a calendar, you're putting events on a calendar, you're discussing it with others, and you're making sure that that's aligned with your overall life's purpose. Because your life purpose is what you want to have it done based upon your faith and where you want to be at the end of your life. Where do you want to be? What do you want to have accomplished? You need to think some of these things through. And I know that a lot of men that are out there have a problem necessarily with making sure that they are doing what needs to be done in order to make sure that their life is aligned. And that's one of those issues that we have in the many roles that we fill, especially as men. But women, you have the same problem because you have many roles that you fill as well. So for right now, I'm going to focus in on the men themselves. And the problem that they have is not that they're lazy. It's not that they're unintelligent, or it's not that they don't have the ability to think these through. It's they don't have a framework to do that. And they don't have the framework set in place that they can actually sit down with someone, and it's part of their life, and have an assessment discussion with them on how well things are going. So we're going to get after a couple of problems that a lot of men are going to have in this day and age. Again, my name is Tom Sudbeck. I've got a YouTube page. It's called Tom Talks, and this is going to be posted on there for you to take a look at and review some of the content that I feel is very relevant to what we're talking about in this day and age. I help faith-driven men that are actually very engaged in many roles in their lives, as a husband, as a worker, as a member of a community, as a member of a church community. So you've got all kinds of roles in life, and you need to make sure that you've got them all aligned. And the other thing is this day and age, there's a lot of evil in the world, and you need to know how to confront that evil. You need to know how to anticipate it, recognize it, and have a plan in place so that you can figure out, how am I going to react to this when it comes and manifests itself in my particular life? So what this is also going to do It's going to help you to where you're not going to be in a reactionary mode. You're actually going to be in an action mode. So you're being proactive and not reactive. So that's one of the things that you've got. The other thing is this is a repeatable system, because it's not just the plan that you develop, it's the planning that you go through. There's 4 things that anybody goes through and all organizations go through, and only 4. Now, how they do them is going to be very different. So what I'm giving you is a methodology to put the planning together with your decision making, and then the execution of those decisions, and then the assessment. Because in the assessment, you figure out, did I do what I intended to do with this particular activity, such as I want to hold a weekly meeting with my wife as a husband, or I want to sit down and plan out what I'm going to do with my children. So you've got another role as a father. So this is a methodology for you to assess how well did you actually do, and then make adjustments if you had figured on doing it and it didn't necessarily achieve the purpose that you had. The other thing that repeatable planning process and framework does for you is it gives you the opportunity to say, I heard something that was really interesting and I would like to incorporate that in my life. It's an inspiration that comes either from, if you're a faith-driven man, it's something that you heard at your church, or you may have heard it in a podcast. And so you go, I want to make that part of my life. Well, where do you hang that? Do you just all of a sudden say, okay, now I'm going to take a look at this and I'm going to try to do this as best I can? Well, I don't know about you, but for me, when I do it planning that way, it gets lost. It just does. It just gets lost. So now let's look at this and let's make sure that we've got a way to hang inspirations into our plan for our life. There's a place to do it. All you have to do when the inspiration comes to you, make a note, and the next time you sit down to review your plan based on the assessment of how well the execution went, now all of a sudden you've got the opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to do this differently in my church community. A couple examples, you could probably come up with dozens of examples, but the idea of sitting down with your wife and having a weekly session, that's one of those things that you really, really is helpful. So again, some of these ideas are starting to cement with you or kind of feel like they're something that you need in your life. Get a hold of me. Let's set up a meeting. Let's set a complimentary meeting. This is one of those discussions we're going to have. I'm not a harsh framework kind of guy. What I want to do is just have a discussion with you, see where you're at, help you to kind of focus where you're at, and then we can say, well, let's continue on with each other and see how we can make that work. So that's one of the problems that this process and this blueprint is actually going to do for you. The other thing is for people who have all kinds of overwhelming activities and actions in their life and goals that they set for themselves, and they've also got goals and opportunities that are being presented to them by someone else. Well, how do you respond to that? Where do you put it in your life? If you don't have a planning process and you don't have a methodology or framework to hang those lessons learned on, then what's going to happen is it's just going to get lost and you're going to continue to do things your old, tired way of doing things. We got to get away from that, and this is going to help you do that. And remember, the other thing is you're going to have evil that's going to come in your life. And one of the methods that they're going to use, and I'm just bringing up one of them, is going to be to distract you. And what that does then, and especially if it's going to be an activity or a goal that you have or a purpose that you have that's related to growing in your faith, evil is going to distract you at every turn. They're going to distract you. They're going to put all kinds of barriers in your way. And if you're prepared for that, then you can react accordingly. And you can be proactive because you will be able to recognize that it is evil that is now coming into your life and is trying to stop you. So we get rid of the fog with that. So now all of a sudden, you got a clear picture of how you're going to make adjustments and how you're actually going to align your overall purpose in your life with the execution plan that you've got in the different roles that you have. And lastly, what I'd like to tell you that this blueprint is going to do for you It is going to help you be accountable to somebody, something, or an organization. Because you've got to get an alignment of what activities you're going to make, who you're going to be responsible to, who you're going to be accountable to, and you're going to understand what authority you have within that particular role and or activity. So that's what this does for you. It gives you a whole way of looking at your whole life, not just one piece part of it, but it gives you the opportunity to look at it as a whole. So if this kind of framework, which I call the blueprint, if it's going to help you, then book a call with me. Click the link down below, get a hold of me, set up a meeting. We can have 20, 30-minute discussion. It's not going to cost you anything but a little bit of time. And it's, no matter what, you're going to walk away with something that you can use. And so that's what I would like to do, is I would like to have you get a hold of me. I've got a lot of experience with this. I've had a great deal of opportunity to help other people, and I want to continue to help others. So again, get a hold of me. This is Tom Sudbeck from Tom Talks, once again at church, post listening to the Gospel of John, verse 1, let not your heart be troubled, and verse 6, how do I follow Jesus, who says he is the way, he is the truth, and he is the life. Get a hold of me. Let's talk. God bless, and have a great week.
If you enjoyed this video, click on the like button and subscribe for more content similar to this.